Hi Aquarius, welcome to your week ahead tarot with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, my readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Aquarius, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So your key to the week this week is the Justice card. Although this is a card of commitments, there's something about it this week that gives me this feeling of finality. I kind of get this feeling that this is going to be one of those moments where it's case in point. Maybe something that you've been waiting to hear back from. Maybe you are having a moment of realization. Maybe something that you thought was one way but you hadn't been able to prove, or hadn't, that maybe didn't have the evidence for up until now. I kind of get the feeling that this week you will have that. It's like the information or the evidence that you've been looking for to confirm something. This week you will have it. I knew that was going to happen. One of my bracelets is just broken and spat wooden beads all over the place, which is always fun. That's the feeling that I get from it. It's kind of like there's a feeling of finality here. So usually the Justice card is contracts, where you sign on the dotted line, which makes sense because once you sign the contract, you're not sort of going back, right? But there is an element here of finality. There's something here where it's like you're crossing a threshold, and once this commitment is made, it's made. And I kind of get the feeling that this is going to be a piece of information. Like I said, maybe something that you were looking for evidence of or for, and there's going to be a moment. Confirmation, that's the word that I was looking for. This week there's going to be some form of confirmation that comes through, and I kind of feel like in a lot of ways this may be something that you'd waited for or needed in order to move forward in some way. For those of you that are continued subbies, Rafi loves you. Thank you so much. If you are if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit the subscribe button. For your actions and options this week, you've got the Justice card. So that is, for some of you, this will be a job interview or a business meeting if you're, in that kind of field, etc. This could also literally be the signing of a new document or a new contract of some kind, where you are literally signing on the dotted line. For those of you that are interviewing, whether this is interviewing for your business, whether this is interviewing for a new job, whatever your interview is, it will go ahead this week, and it looks like it's going to be really great news because the Justice card suggests that you're signing on the dotted line for something, and the Ace of Swords is the literal, you doing the signing or the thing being made real, let's say. So it could be an interesting week. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Seven of Cups. Be as clear and as not that you're not always, but be as clear and as transparent as you possibly can over the course of this week, because the Seven of Cups, it can be an element of confusion. And so when this card shows up, especially around this, right, because if you're signing a contract or a document of some sort, you just want to make sure that everything is above board. If you need to get a second opinion, just make sure that you're seeing everything as clearly as you need to be. And also when it comes to communications, just make sure that you are communicating as clearly and effectively as you possibly can. I will say, this is not a week to overpromise. This is not a week to say, yes, you know what, I can absolutely, maybe so for those of you that are studying, maybe your tutor says, look, you know what, we're giving you a week to do this, and you're saying, yeah, I can do all of this in that time, or maybe you're overestimating how long something is going to take you. For those of you that are come on brain, employed by somebody else, this could be that your boss comes to you and says, look, you know what, we need this done by a certain time, and you say oh yeah, absolutely, I can do that, I can do double that. this is not the week to overpromise. In fact, this is probably a week for you to underpromise and overdeliver rather than the other way around, because you will probably, not even probably, you will definitely be held accountable for it. And you know, you could be setting yourself, it's not about setting yourself up to fail, but you could be setting yourself up for a disappointment, or, you know, and, you know, woe betide, maybe somebody else is depending on you to do what you say you're going to do and you don't come through. So you got to be very mindful this week when it comes to your business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves. Don't spread yourself too thin this week. Don't, you know, it's true. Like, somebody wrote this the other day, and it's a saying that I've been using for probably the last 3-4 years at this point. And it's so true. Like, people overestimate what they can get done in a year and underestimate what can be done in a decade. This is very much one of those weeks where, you know, taking your time with things rather than just trying to throw it all out is probably the best way forward. When it comes to your, those of you that are retired and no longer working, I think this is, you know, this week you could be having some conversations that kind of help you understand that maybe you're a bit aimless at the moment. And, you know, that's not a bad thing. Sometimes it's good to not know where you're going, so you can have the beauty of turning up where you're supposed to be, as it were. But I think this week, through a conversation with maybe a friend, I think you're going to have a moment where you realise, yeah, actually, you know what? I don't have a plan right now, and I really do need one. When it comes to your love and relations, you've got the Five of Pentacles. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, this could be a financial challenge or issue that arises within the relationship. And this is, you know, it might not necessarily even be yours. It might be a financial challenge that comes up either through or with the partner, or one that maybe you guys hadn't approached as yet. And now it gets to the point where it's like, okay, I've actually got to do something about this. Another way that this could show up as well is a refusal to see another way to do something. So be mindful of that this week, especially with the Seven of Cups. For those of you that are single, this could be losing touch with somebody that you thought was a potential partner. So this could be somebody that, you know, was kind of there, and then you realise, actually, no, they're not. You know, and actually things aren't going in the way that I thought they might be going. So just something to observe and to be aware of. For your money and materials, you have the Five of Cups. So you've got the two fives of loss here. There's definitely, for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, there's something shaky about the resources that you need to watch out for this week. Do not overcommit yourself. This is not a week to be spending big money. This is not a week to be, like, you got to be conscious about what you're doing with your resources at the moment. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, this is going to be your reproductive system. But I kind of feel like this is more than that. I want to say to a lot of you, this is where maybe you are either overindulging, or you're not paying as much attention to your body's signals as you could be. So be mindful of that, you know, especially if you're overindulging on alcohol or anything like that. When it comes to your home and environment, the Five of Cups with the Justice card, it's really strange, because I kind of get the feeling that this is a loss that happens outside of your control, and it's like you will feel this, but it's not happening to you. It's happening around you, but not to you. So it's an interesting week. And, you know, I know somebody put a comment on the Aquarius video. I've had a couple of comments actually of late about the Aquarius videos, and oh, you know, they're always so negative, and you know, this is, oh, it's another week of like this stuff. Like, one thing that I really want to remind everybody of is I'm an Aquarius too, so I really don't relish having to give you guys bad news, because I know at some point this stuff's going to show up in my own world as well. So make no mistakes, like it's not, you know, and that's the whole point, that this is the work. You know, this is the work that I signed on for, and it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. When it's good, and I will tell you, When it's not good, it's not good, and I will tell you. That's just the way that I work. It's the way that I am. And I hope that goes a long way to helping you understand it's not personal. I know it might feel like it, but unfortunately this is what the cards have in store for us, and these are the messages that come through. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Just be mindful this week and look after yourself. And also, look at this. I mean, in a lot of ways, that's a recommitment to yourself. And if anything, I think that's great.